Dad. I'm sorry for leaving and not being here when... I should start at the beginning. I'll tell you what pushed me to this point and why I left you all behind. Remember the first few months after Dad lost his job? Both of you began to argue and then lash out at me and my brother. And then we had to move. I thought the whole world was going to end. In a way, it did. After the move, every day slowly dragged all feeling out of me. It seemed I was always alone. I was an outsider. You don't start high school mid-semester and expect to find friends or to be accepted. I wasn't. At first it hurt, but then I got used to my own company. Then it didn't matter anymore. For the longest time, I just lived in a halfway world, halfway between human and wasted space. 4 times during the same week, I decided to run away. I never got further than the school before realizing I could never pull it off. In spite of this, I started collecting essentials in a pack if an opportunity ever presented itself. Always the first thing I did after walking in the front door was run and hole up in my bedroom to start homework. It went on forever, and eventually I didn't even notice anymore. One time, Mom interrupted me during homework. She was obviously stressed and told me to do something other than sit inside all day. Go make friends, but for goodness sake, get out of the house. As soon as I could, I found something to fill those empty after-school hours. No longer was I going to spend time at home getting lost in the crossfire and suffering from it. I auditioned for the school's play, got a big enough role, and cut myself from family except for when their company was unavoidable. For months, I rehearsed and stuck it out in that unfamiliar situation. I didn't complain, and neither did you. I was out of the house and out from underfoot. And then you both promised to come to the show, and I thought maybe now, after all the hurt, everything would resolve itself. How wrong I was. The show came and I got on stage. I performed my part and panned the audience looking for my supporting team. I had to exit and was worried that maybe I had missed your faces in the crowd. Every scene I had, I searched. After the show, I had to admit to myself that somehow you had forgotten. When I got home that evening, both of you were apathetic to having missed the show. Later, though, I heard you arguing over it long into the night. That was the last straw that finally buried me. I decided to follow through on running away. I left a message I had written in the heat of the moment. I still regret the hateful words I left as my last ones. I walked south for a couple of days. I felt like I was constantly looking behind my back. I worried I'd be found and made to go back. Eventually, I made it to a smaller suburban town. I decided this was as good a place as any. After sleeping on the streets for a week and having eaten through my supplies, I knew I needed to get some work. By the next week, I was shelving groceries. I had only been working there for a couple of days when one of my coworkers approached me and introduced herself as January. I could tell from the way she held my gaze and asked where I was from that she had no idea how to make small talk. I told her I lived close, and I think she sensed that I didn't want to talk about it. If there was anything I could have done to assure a friendship, it was to be so ambiguous. She smiled a knowing smile and then turned to leave. I knew it was right then or never, so I asked her out to dinner and she said yes. Our date went smooth and I walked her home telling her my car was not in working condition. Again, she asked me where I was from. I didn't say anything for a while, hoping she would just let it go. She only waited. Finally, I said I was staying here until things cooled down with my family, who lives several hours north. She left it at that, but for the rest of our walk home, she would just stare at me as if reading my mind, sensing all the things I'd left unsaid, like she saw right through my charade. For weeks, I moved around that suburban town, never staying one place too long, but not going too far for my work. About a month after meeting January, everything went sour. I couldn't sleep for nights on end. I woke up with a cold sweat every morning, plagued by the memories of my parents and siblings. All the people I had left behind in anger, with nothing but harsh words and stinging silences to remember me by. I told myself over and over that if I just kept working, just let time do the forgetting, that everything would work out. 2 months passed and I couldn't drag myself to work anymore. I knew then that if I wouldn't work, there was no point anymore. Thank you.
Evander, your life is worth living. Do what you have to make peace with your past. Then go and live your life.
I don't think I walked the entire time I traveled home. I didn't sleep at night either. Just constant travel. Finally, my head and heart were focused on the same thing. I was elated. Who knew that you could run away and that 4 months later you could come back to a home turned to house? I hadn't traveled this far to come back to nothing. Determined and a little nervous, I went to track down someone who could help me find you. The familiar house of my best friend was where I went and demanded answers. You can't prepare yourself for what I was told. Everyone in my family, Mom, Dad, my little brother, driving together late at night. Maybe someone was driving a little too fast. The driver was too tired. They crashed head-on coming off the highway, and no one survived. The funeral is memories from a month ago. I was much too late. After years of heartache and 4 months of living on my own and on the streets, I've come home to say I'm sorry. And now I'm here, and there's no one to say sorry to except for the air and my paper. So in nostalgia and with regrets, I say, I'm sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad. I hope heaven is beautiful. Evander.